Hey everyone, Lorin Mask here, your best friend at work. As you can see, I'm in a different place to do my recording this week, and I am recording from the great campus of Montclair State University here in Montclair, New Jersey. And I'm here all week because my son is doing a Jazz Fest camp, so I am working remote, which means I'm not working at home. I don't know, I'm cracking myself up. All right, so it's Workplace Bingo number 2. If you don't know about Workplace Bingo, hit my website. There's all about bingo there. Go to my YouTube channel, and you can see the video on how to play Workplace Bingo. And it's a little known secret because not everybody's watching these videos, is that nobody's playing Workplace Bingo yet. So you have a really good chance to win if you get started, because you'd probably be the only one playing. So go and start playing Workplace Bingo and play along with me. So since I'm on location, so to speak, I didn't bring my bingo ball cage thing. But what I did do is I pulled a bingo ball last night, and I promise I didn't cheat. I made sure that I just put it in this little baggie, and I got the bingo ball. So I've pulled the number, and I am going to figure out what my topic is and look at my cheat sheet list. And so according to this, the topic is engagement is our responsibility to. Great topic. Great topic. With my 26 years experience working in organizational development and learning, engagement has been at the foundation of everything that I've ever done in leadership development. And so one of the things that is always really prominent, and something that always really kind of stuck with me, is how much we workers rely so much on our engagement, on our leader. And don't get me wrong, the leader is responsible for so much in our engagement. I think the statistic, the local leader is responsible for 30%, or is it 70%? Am I getting it backwards? 70% of an employee's engagement. But what's the other 30? Well, there's lots of different areas or people responsible for that engagement. And guess what? Whenever I've been teaching and I ask this question, I used to do it in healthcare, and I would say, what are the other areas who are responsible? I can think of 5 that are responsible for engagement. And they all just kind of look at me and they go, well, if it's not my leader, is it leadership? And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's that's one of them. It's the overarching, leadership of the whole organization is responsible for engagement. Who else? And they would just look at each other and they go, each other. And I'm like, absolutely. Your fellow coworkers are also responsible for your engagement. And I would go, who else? And they would go, And they would think, and we would think, and I'm like, well, they would go, well, what about workers who aren't directly working with us, And I said, yeah, people from other departments, people who you aren't necessarily always collaborating with, you might have to coordinate with, et cetera, and so forth. Absolutely, totally. And if you're in a union environment, there's even that aspect as well. So there's a few other things that are partly responsible, and then they would go, what's the next one? And they would hem and haw, whatever. And sometimes someone would get it and they would say, what about our patients? This was healthcare. And I would say, yes. So if you're not in healthcare, it would be your customers. Customers really, you've seen those funny reels where, workers at work, and you've got this customer who's just angry and throwing things and, violent. And oh my gosh, they always get a lot of hits, go viral on YouTube. But luckily not most customers aren't that. But customers, clients, patients, whatever, they can totally beat us up and really impact our engagement. And then they get stumped and they think and they think and they think, and they don't remember that they have a responsibility for their own engagement. So let me repeat that. They have the responsibility for their own engagement. Frontline workers, middle management who also have leaders above them. You have a serious responsibility in your own engagement. So let me start with just question number 1 on the Gallup survey. I know what's expected of me at work. And quite often, you get to answer between 1 and 5. 1 means always, I always know what's expected of me. 1 where I don't know what the hell's going on. It's like chaos. It's a dumpster fire. And most often, from my experience, people, I've seen numbers like kind of between 3 and, 4 point, it's pretty high, 4 point something. I can't remember what Gallup says is the statistically, significant number that is engagement. In healthcare, it's a little higher than normal, mostly because some jobs are just so prescriptive, right? There's, if you're in an OR, there's the who does what and how they do that, et cetera, and so forth. Maybe, highly regulated areas like maybe the airline industry, a pilot's pretty sure, et cetera, and so forth. So expectations, though, for other more loosely structured organizations can be a little bit more of a challenge. And when I think about engagement, when I think about the expectations aren't just what's on a job description, right? It's about some of those unwritten rules. It's about what is a leader paying attention to, blah, blah, blah. So when I think about ourselves and expectations, if you're frustrated because you don't understand what your expectations are at work, and you sit around and kind of go, well, I don't know. Ask your leader. Let them know. I don't know what's expected. The expectations are moving. There's moving goalposts. 1 minute it's this, 1 minute it's that, and I'm just like, why do you just sit around? Ooh, sorry. Big distraction by a big jet flying by, making a lot of noise. So, that's one of my biggest frustrations is if you don't know your expectations, you need to ask. That is within the sphere of your control. You are not a victim. You just aren't. Okay, number 2, the next question on the Gallup survey is, I have the resources to do my work right. Quite often, we need things, we need tools, we need this, we need that, and we sit around and we go, well, I just don't have what I need, la, 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 la. 9 times out of 10, there's 2 things here. 1, they're thinking about wants as opposed to needs. Do you really have what you need to do your job right, or would you like to have things easier? When I worked in healthcare, let me tell you, if you didn't have the tools and resources you need to do your job right, people died. Yes, most of the time you have resources that you need to do your job right. And if you're struggling, then you need to adapt, right? Or you need to move the complaints up the chain, whatever it is. Here, once again, is identifying and coming up and realizing what it is that's in the sphere of your control around that. If you've asked a leader for a particular resource and they're not getting that to you and you haven't heard, you're like, well, I don't know what's going on with blah, blah, blah. Go ask. Hey, I made this request a couple weeks ago. What's the status? Right? They may not be able to answer that, but at least you can open up that dialogue and have that conversation. It is within the sphere of your control. The other thing is if you're working at an organization where you're not getting what you need. I watched a TV show last night about a restaurant that was failing and they had no food in the refrigerator, right? In their walk-in refrigerator, whatever, for the customers, the cook told the guy who's fixing their restaurant, what would you do? And she says, well, I would run to the grocery store and I would pay for the food myself. So instead of the restaurant just buying the food, they were paying the cook who was going to the store to buy the stuff. But she loved working there. So it was a sacrifice she was willing to make. She was highly engaged. That's what a highly engaged person does. They get resourceful. They figure things out. They don't make excuses. They don't throw their hands up in the air. They figure things out. So yes, if you don't have what you need to do your job right, you can figure it out. Third question on the Gallup engagement survey is, I have the opportunity to do what I do best. Every day I have the opportunity to do what I do best. Now, okay, we all have cheers and chores at work. There are things we don't enjoy doing, but we have to do them. That's just the fact. I like teaching. I love coaching. I love going to organizations and helping them solve their people problems, their strategy problems, whatever it is. Do I love doing my taxes and my budgets and blah, blah, blah? No, of course I don't, right? So I figure out how to make those easier. So cheers and chores. However, I have purposely made sure that I have chosen a career and I'm filled my career with things that I really enjoy doing. And if you're at a job where you don't have the opportunity to do what you do best every day, this is what you need to fix. You need to fix this. If you don't have a leader that's checking in with you and making sure and giving you opportunities and all that kind of stuff, you need a different leader. Or you need to have a conversation with that leader. A conversation, keep going back to that. The other thing is you are in the sphere of your control to go get another job. And don't like hearing people saying, oh, but I don't have a choice. No, your choices might be limited. Some of your choices might not be as good as other choices, et cetera, and so forth. You might not like all the choices you have to choose from. However, you do have choices. You absolutely do. I was talking with a potential client 2 days ago, and she says, oh, I'm no longer working at X, Y, and Z. I quit yesterday. So she says, not in alignment with my values. I didn't select seeing what I was seeing. So if you're not having the opportunities, you need to go where you can make that happen. You need to figure it out and you need to do the hard work. Don't throw your hands up and just think, well, my leader, blah, 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 blah. So there are many, many, many more engagement questions. You can go look these up and figure out where you're not engaged and what it is that's in the sphere of your control that you can do. But that's my first talk about your own employee engagement. Figure it out, because we work so many hours in the week. Why be at a job where you're miserable? Why? Do you enjoy the drama? Maybe you do, but I think that you can figure it out. All right, so that is my talk about how you can really change your own engagement at work. And let's go to the bingo thing. So I was able to record this last time and it worked. Put it right here. 067. 067 was the number. So if you've just gotten a bingo card, you can look at my last video, get that number, mark your card, because the cards are active until someone wins, and then we start over. So this is your responsibility, right? Employee engagement. I hope you enjoyed this talk today. I'm Lorin Mask, your best friend at work, and good luck with the bingo game.